So digital footprints.
I know. Delete
Yeah.
my history prior to being
It's all out there. I
28.
could find dirt on everybody if you're listening. If you need help,
It's called
I'll
Facebook
find it.
FBI. Like we're all FBI
Facebook
agents
FBI,
because we know how to
property
stalk.
appraiser. It's
Yes.
all out
We're
there.
professional stalkers.
Yeah.
It's all out there.
It's
Is this
okay.
a threat? I don't
But
know.
but here's
I hope not.
I mean, when people are searching for a house though, they don't like look at your previous website and go, "Oh, look at what they did." Like they're only going to move forward. But you intentionally as a home builder put your past communities on there because you do want to talk about, the highlights and the good things. We're going to be hiding the party college pictures of home building and only doing the
never did that.
graduation photos.
Actually, we could expose a little bit. That was the summer I did that before college even started, at college. Because I started I wanted it. My parents moved my senior year. I'm like, I'm not moving to St. Augustine from like Tampa Bay to go do what? Go hang out with my mom and dad. This is great. I'll go hang with them. But I'm like, let's just go to Florida State that summer session. If I'm sure y'all did a summer session at college. I don't know if you have to or not, but I stayed every summer. So much fun. Y'all, what? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
I
commuted in college.
Yeah.
I think I only lived there a year and a half.
I worked almost full time. It's 25, 30 hours a week full time. I don't know.
I worked in the marketing department, and then I was I feel like my client is gonna be like, what? I worked as making phone calls for collections.
Oh yeah.
And
Sweet.
I remember this.
It was, but not like you owe me money, but it was for like weird equipment collecting. So, but I have a lot of phone training experience and just like
trauma
from that. Like
I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh gosh.
The
perks of at least free food.
So should we all eat there? I don't know.
Jackie had like real jobs. I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings,
I had
Massage Envy.
I used to mow lawns too. Like this is like early. I was like, I just need $15 an hour to attend.
Job security is mowing
lawns. The hustle
lawns.
Was real.
The grass always grows, so it needs to be cut. It's the perfect business if you think about it.
It is.
It is great. Minus employees, you have a little bit different HR things to deal with compared to a builder. My dog's going crazy right now, so I'll let someone else do this intro. Let's go.
All right, welcome to episode 331. I'm Jackie Lipinski. Today, I'm here with Andrew, the ad doctor, and Beth Russell.
Woohoo!
Sound machine.
Ready.
I know we need a sound machine, although we are our own sound machine, so I'm here for that.
I loved that Julie the other day. It was her son's birthday last weekend. She had one of those like noise things when we had
party thing.
So
yeah,
it was next to our desk. But Andrew, do you have a good story time you want to start us off with?
Yeah, so we're car shopping, which I don't like.
It's been a while now, I feel like, too.
Yeah, because I have that's been going on. It's been on the forefront for a little bit. My truck is up, at least my truck. Yeah. So that's coming up soon. Then my wife's car, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, well, let's all change it up and get something new, right? Kind of reset the budget. It's so exciting. All this is miserable actually. Because why I don't like cars, high cost, depreciating asset. But you have to do it. You have to do it. And I'm spoiled. I've not had to think about, will be something up with the car. And then I'm like, well, let me play this game. Like, okay, I'll get something used, higher mileage, because I don't really commute anywhere. I work from home. I have limited places to go. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I convinced myself of that because I just looked at the numbers. So I looked at the quantitative data. And I'm like, makes perfect sense, sort of. Then I thought qualitative, like, oh, well, what if I get up at 4:30 and I leave for the gym, then I'm gonna leave at 6:30 to come back home and it doesn't turn on. And it's like, I'm taking the kids that day. That's stress. Is it really worth saving X amount of dollars? Because I put in forecasted maintenance costs, all this stuff compared to essentially leasing. Because you got to do the whole, total cost of ownership.
You went down a rabbit hole.
We got to be accurate, right? You got to do all the numbers. It's not just like, I don't have a payment anymore. My car's perfect.
Yeah.
No, it's like something will happen.
Go wrong.
Something is going to happen, but that's risk too. Maybe something doesn't happen, whatever it may be. So we did that. And then I decided, so Lindsay's getting a new car and then I'm going to go with a Tesla. So I'm through that.
That's fun.
You're joining the squad.
So well. So product aside, their buying process is like millennial, dreams. It is so great.
Oh man.
Especially after we went shopping, we went to almost every dealership for her car. And there's definitely, I could stereotype every dealership. GM, I'm not gonna, I'll be quiet as far as like what it is, but I'm like, why do they have this same type at 3 different GM dealers, GMC? And they're like, they're the worst people. I don't understand. Like it's the same type of person. Then you go to what's Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, whatever, varied as far as who they hire. Then you go to like Infiniti, Nissan, Lexus, whatever. At least where I'm at in Tampa, it's like, this is so strange. It's like different people types at each dealership. But Tesla, hey, what color you want? Oh, I like this. Okay, here's some pictures. Do you want this one or this one? There's like maybe 5 choices you really have to think about. And once you realize like, oh, I don't want that, then you have like one choice. It's so.
And do they just drop it off at your house?
You can do anything you want almost.
It depends. Did you hear my rant about my Tesla purchase journey at Summit? Actually, or no, I talked about it at IBS actually, in Sales Central one year. And it was after we got our Tesla and we did the fully online experience because it was when there was like a 4, 5, 6+ month wait list to get them.
Definitely not now.
And it was like right around the time that like right after COVID and all the like housing giants were trying to implement buy online. And I went on a rant about it at IBS. And it was because of the fact that when we purchased our Tesla, yes, it was easy. Buying online was so easy. I just reserved it one day at my dad's house and was like, all right, Mike, you're getting a Tesla for Christmas. Congratulations. But then when it came to actually buying it and going to the dealership and picking it up, we walked in the door and they just expected us to know everything. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And then they gave us the car and we're like, okay, so what do we do now? And he's like, oh, I can't get in it. I can't show you. Like they're not allowed to get in the car once you sign.
Oh, weird.
I don't know if it's any different, but it seems like now the
human element was completely removed. Like
which
too
is
far gone.
It's almost like the model here. So I went to, so this is, just changed Tesla for home as far as applying this to Builder World. I went to the sales center at the International Mall in Tampa, which is like the nicer one. International. You had International anything, and it sounds super fancy. International Builder Show.
House of Pancakes.
I was going to say House of Pancakes.
Sarcasm. International House of Pancakes. There we go. International, whatever. So you go there, and they have this one. They have a Model X, which is a big SUV. They had a Cybertruck, which was totally roped off. You couldn't touch it or anything.
Whoa.
Then they had a Tesla Y, which there are tons of Ys. That's like crossover-ish size. They have no Model 3s, which are the sedan, or Model S's. But the Y is, I think that's probably the more popular one now to buy. They have tons of inventory of it, which makes sense. It's right at the front. So they'll demo stuff there, let you do whatever. And they're like, hey, do you want to drive one? Sure. Like, okay. Down there, you could like self-drive. Like you don't have to go with anybody. There's no escort. You just go, here you go. You could download an app.
Well, they can track you, right? They know where you are.
They track you. They could turn it off if they want.
Where are you going? Nowhere.
Where are you going? So it's almost like they separated the buying experience from the shopping exploration experience, at least my perception of doing it. But there's so little choices, and I've driven one before. I'm like, all right, sounds good. Like,
okay,
I don't need to be convinced.
I kind of want to. I want to bring it back.
The simplicity is super nice.
Yeah, I want to bring it back.
Less choice is better.
Builders who have different series of homes.
Gosh.
This has been a hot topic lately, actually.
It's because it's the same thing with like everyone thinks, oh, they know what the series is. It's like, no, we have to keep explaining it. We have to show the value. Did you feel, Andrew, when you went into the different, I don't know how many cars you test drove, but like, was it obvious the steps of improvement from car to car you were looking at and test driving?
So I'll compare Tesla, who I think does it beautifully, versus the other dealerships. So we were shopping for Lindsay. This just makes us sound whatever. I don't care. Either a Yukon or a Jeep Wagoneer. Kind of different budgets, sort of, but we thought they could be pretty close. With Jeep, there's a Wagoneer and a Grand Wagoneer. But what the heck is the difference? Well, one's a lot nicer. Well, what makes it nicer? Oh, well, the included features are better. But if you go with this package on the Jeep regular Wagoneer, you actually get almost a Grand Wagoneer. So I'm like, okay, well, which ones are those? Well, it depends on which package of the Wagoneer you get. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. So there's maybe like 20 different combinations you could have before you even add in like, hey, we really need the massaging seats because that was super cool. We could add that to the Wagoneer, but if it's on the Grand Wagoneer, whatever, Series 3, It's included. It's a nightmare versus Tesla is like,
yeah.
okay,
Is anyone still following this at this point? That's
I don't even know what's happening.
The podcast is off.
It's like, you want rear wheel, all wheel, or performance? It's almost 3 different budget categories. You want to drive really far, you want to go really fast, or do you want the cheapest way to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then you go from there, or do you want big rims? You want this? It's super easy, super straightforward. And same with Yukon, they're the same deal. GMC, Lexus, even more confusing. I could go on and on as far as the sales processes for ones, as far as like, here, this will be my last mini story in this. We went to Lexus because we're looking for an SUV. I'm like, let's just get it off the list and check it out because their pricing wasn't too terrible. And we're like, hey, we're looking for a 3-row SUV. We're comparing this car against a Yukon XL. He's like, oh, that's big. I'm like, yeah, it's big. We got 3 kids, all this stuff. So we just want to look at the trunk space in the 3rd row. Can we just look at that? Because if it doesn't fit what we want, we're good. We don't take your time. He's like, yeah, come over to my desk real quick. I'm like, no. Like, I don't want to be rude. Like, we're on hour 4 of car shopping. But like, we really just need to see it because it's not like you can't sell us on something else. We have to have that much space. Okay. He's like, well, I need this. I'm like, oh my goodness. It was his first day on the job, this poor guy. So he's like, so why are you looking for a new car? We already told him situation. What are you looking for in a new car? We already told you this. We went along. We were polite like normal people. But by the 6th question, when he's like, can I get your driver's license? I'm like, no, we haven't even seen a car yet. And like, you ignored the first question. Lindsay's like, calm down. I'm like, I'm not upset. I'm just being assertive and direct with him. I'm like, we just want to go look at that car, like right there. Like, let me just look at the trunk. Sure enough, we get out there. We're like, too small. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, well, we told you, like, that's what we wanted to see. So we were like, probably the 2 educated shoppers. We already knew what we wanted. Maybe there's some sales training involved in this, but like their content wasn't good enough on the website. So we wasted this guy's time for like half an hour and we had a bad experience. So content, there we go.
So good, Andrew. This is content. So good.
Qualify and disqualify. And you're like coming from the sales side, like he was filling out his little card. And 5 of the questions out of the 6 that he got to, he already had the answers to if he would have been a good listener.
Beth, I'm gonna.
My story's done now.
I'm gonna change my story time because Andrew, another builder, this company is reaching out to them and they're like, have you heard of this company before? I was like, nope. I'm gonna pretend I'm a customer. I'm gonna call them.
You like doing this, by the way. This
I
like
do.
you compared to everyone's team, like
I love
she puts a wig on
and
she walks right in.
I'm like, no one suspects me. Hair flip and everything, if you're listening. So I decide I'm going to pretend to be a buyer and see how this company who's trying to target new construction home builders benefits them. And what it came down to is they just want to be representation for the buyer. So I called them and then the builder reached out again. They're like, okay, well, have you talked to them? And I tried to set up a meeting. They didn't get back. Tried to contact them. So I was like, okay, now I'm going to go through their website because if they're so aggressive with these builders, like it must be an above and beyond experience for these people to become leads and have this experience where they can funnel this information. It was horrible. I had to go through 10 questions. Like they wouldn't even show me homes until I made sure to put in like every little filtering detail. And sometimes it's like, listen, buddy, I don't even know if I want this. Like you can't ask, Andrew, you can't ask this of me because I haven't looked at a car. You can't ask me for my driver's license. We're not that close.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Can you privately send me who this is? Not on here. I want to see who it is later. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't trash anybody.
Good.
It's fine.
I won't trash them. No,
but hey, that's crazy.
Definitely. And they keep hounding the builder. I'm like, what data have they provided? Not much. I'm like, okay, well,
blocked.
All right, Beth.
So both of those stories segue perfectly. This is how it always, we're just always like,
we don't prep for this, which is like the best part. Like
it segues perfectly into my story time, which is like, we had a conversation with a builder earlier, and this has been kind of a trend. Jackie just experienced it. I experienced it recently with another builder a couple months ago of people reaching out, positioning themselves as an expert, coining some phrase or some product that they can deliver that essentially the builder could do for free on their own with the access to their own data, and essentially the stuff that we were already doing. And my story is an underlining message of always question the people who position themselves as experts, even us. We want you to question us. We want you to go to us and have us prove things to you because that's what we do. That's what we're good at. And that's what, like, data transparency, we talk about it all the time. That's something that we believe in our core, because our customers are at the forefront of everything that we do, our builder partners, and their interest always comes first. But aside from that, the reason why I'm saying that is because recently we had a call with a builder who someone had positioned themselves as an expert in sales training and had told them that they shouldn't have pricing on their website.
Cool.
Yeah. And it came down to the fact, like, Andrew, what you were just saying.
I was saying, this is my trunk story.
Yeah, it's your trunk story. Like, I was like, do you want sales? Do you want leads? Because both will plummet if you remove pricing off your website. That's not the market we're in right now, nor will we ever go back to, or likely never go back to. And I was like, everyone starts online. Everyone needs to educate themselves, qualify themselves, and see if you're a good fit. If they don't know what price point you're at, they're not going to know. And they're going to move on to the next guy that tells them, yeah, I build that house that you want, the 4-bedroom house at that price point. And you were comparing it to cars, Andrew. And it's like, I look at cars, like each model of a car, a Model X or a Yukon, that's a floor plan, right? Mm-hmm. And then every layer that a Yukon has, or different, whatever, is the different series. And if you have to educate, so that way it wasn't like when you were talking about the Grand Wagoneer and the different levels and all that stuff, the buyer isn't like, what? You're just speaking a foreign language to me and you're losing me. But if you provide them education upfront with clear pricing, that is just simple for them to digest, so they know what their options are, they're more likely to give you their driver's license so they can take a test drive, versus, I just want to see this trunk. Show me the trunk. Let me know what price point this house is, please.
I got a lot of junk. Move on. That trunk. Let me just
and you're not wasting your time. And there's these experts out there saying, remove your pricing from the website.
That's wild. Question. I want to add. Oh, can I add something super quick? Then I'm done on it. What I also realized is the lack of content creates more opportunity. This is not marketing versus sales.
Yes.
It creates more opportunity for the salesperson to F it up, to be direct, because they're talking too much and they have more chance to be wrong, because I don't have any idea. And I'm like, oh, well, can we get this? Can we get this? Can we get that? Can we get that? Because the data is missing, the content's missing on the site. And now the salesperson has tremendous more liability, I guess, is
credibility. Their credibility is it's gone.
And then, like, I don't like the salesperson. They got it wrong. I don't trust them anymore. So, like,
they asked me all the same questions 3 times instead of saying, hey, this is Andrew. He's looking for a 3-row SUV with a big trunk for all the room for all their sports activities.
Yeah.
Cool. I got one. Let me go show you it.
Yeah. It's this one. Done.
Nice.
Yeah. Jackie, what are you saying?
Nope. I'm going to stop so that we stay on time.
The listeners will appreciate you. That's for sure.
Side note, today we launched the summit, and it's super exciting watching the ticket count just ding, 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 get lower and lower and lower and lower. So that's cool while this is happening.
I think it's also cool where you see people, they're posting on their own. They're like, you gotta go. It's the best. Like, and there's so many action items to take away with it too. I feel I woke up, Julie will know, I woke up at 4 a.m. because she sent me something. I responded and she was like, why are you awake? But I was like writing notes of like, okay, I think this could be a really good summit content idea. So I feel like we're all in summit mode all year, where we hear the echoes, we hear the consistent things people want to know and learn, and we will make sure to teach you. So it's gonna be fun.
Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned. Well, the first one, should we jump into the first one? I lost my
it's my favorite one. It's the cat article.
Y'all do it. You cue us up. I like it.
You want to go, Beth?
Let me pull it up real quick.
No. It's because I was distracted looking at the summit tickets go down, and I closed the wrong one when I'm like, all right, I can't look at that anymore.
Article is from The Observer, and it is about Meta's AI chief. I'm going to butcher his name. Jan LeCun.
Yeah, sounds good. Sure.
Maybe. Explains why a house cat is smarter than the best AI. And I love this article so much just because it simplifies. It's like, data for idiots, those books. Like had to look
Data
at
for Dummies. AI for Dummies.
Yeah, Data for Dummies or whatever. Yeah, I love it because it's just like he so simply puts for all of us out there that don't understand the complexities of AI and are struggling to keep up with it, of just like, no, the reason why it's not smart enough yet is because essentially my translation of it is AI is learned thought, right? AI has to compile all of this different data and put all this different data together in order to output a thought or a solution or an idea or whatever. Whereas house cats, humans, we have all of this thought or data based off of our surroundings, all of this stuff, and we have organic thought. We are able to put together organic thoughts, and AI is just not there yet. Like it doesn't have enough data points to get there. And there was another portion of it where it was like, can AI get to the point where it's smarter than humans? And his whole theory on it was like, it's not until 10, 20 years down the line. And that might be controversial, but it's because of X, Y, Z. And the way I kind of thought about it is like, define smarter, because smarter is so, there's so many ways to define it. It's not just knowledge. It's not just facts. We measure it by so many different things like creativity, emotional intelligence. How well are you, like, what is your social intelligence? Like, how can you interact with people? And there's so many different ways to define it. And AI is it's just not there yet.
It's reminding me of like the nature versus nurture of people elements too. It's the same thing with AI. It's like, well, you learn from books, but or what's the smart janitor movie? Oh my God, so many people are just yelling.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting, where he's talking about like, you're just a kid. You're just a kid who doesn't know the smell of the museum. You don't have these actual experiences to base information off of. And so I think you're right. You're a long ways away from it. And AI and cats can cause chaos if not if not contained properly. Sure. So anyone who owns a cat knows.
Yeah, here's my interpretation, and then we'll see my attempt at explaining it in millennial Gen Z terms. Cool. Okay, so who's the TikTokers that are doing like the?
You're asking the wrong audience.
You know it. Mike Lyon knows this reference, so there's that. Where he's like, "Okay, Pookie, what are you wearing?" She's like, "Okay, I'm wearing this too. I have the blah blah blah." She's named a designer. Okay, so why is that? I do
know. I saw it refurbished on Reels.
Right. Why is it funny? We don't have to say why it's funny, but we as humans know why it's funny, because like, oh, actually this camp of people, it looks like Matt Damon. It's like a knockoff Matt Damon. This is your Good Will Hunting reference.
Thank you.
Good Will Hunting.
There you go.
And then like, it's just so cringy. It's Ohio. Like it's awful.
Ohio.
And that's why it's so funny. It's Ohio, right? It's the armpit of the United States. Just kidding. It's not, but Ohio is Florida's the armpit. So like, why is that funny? So in theory, you're like, I could ask Olivia. She gives me a hard time because Ohio. In theory, you could ask AI to like create something funny that will go viral on TikTok. It can't. It won't. It cannot think. You could say extract the top 10 funniest videos or most engaged from TikTok, and then 50 other parameters, and it could find it very quickly. But it has no thought. There is no thought. It can't go forward. It could only go backward.
Yep.
Like a cat, it has more pathways. So here it says, the brain of a house cat has 800 million neurons. You have to multiply that by 2,000 to get the number of synapses. So that's what? Some giant number. 2 billion. That's a dog, 2 billion. Anyways, it doesn't matter. There's still application of thought. There's still remembering. There's feelings. There's context. There's putting it into practice. Like we're like, hey, don't use landing pages all the time. But you look at the data, landing pages convert so much better. So AI would be like, use a landing page, conversion rate is better.
Only.
Like, well, wait, last time
Beth
we did
and I are
this,
about to rage right now.
We flooded last time we did this, we flooded the online sales team with too many leads. Then this happened. So there's the history there that needs to be considered. And then the future forecasting as far as like, actually the market's this. So it needs human thought. We're not there yet with AI because it needs the parameters, but the parameters are always changing and shifting. And we know what those are, but they don't know what they're doing. Just like a cat knows, like, hey, for me to jump from here to there and knock off that glass that's on the counter with its little paws, like I needed to do this. But AI wouldn't be able to predict all these things. It could say, here's how much force is needed to jump from here to here based on the trajectory and do like the, what is that math? Calculus or something? I have no idea. to do it. But as far as actually doing it, not there yet. So if you're writing with this or using AI to assist with your marketing, what do we consider? Just like make sure we know it's not going to solve our problems. Like it could help reiterate. It's a tool. It's part of your tool chest, I guess.
It is.
Which I think ties well into our third article, which maybe we want to hop to that one first.
Yeah, let's go to that one.
Because AI can be used, well, I guess we'll read the article first because it ties in AI, but productivity is way up. The reason Americans are getting better at their jobs, and this is from Business Insider. And one of the things that it touches on is the fact that people are leveraging AI or AI tools to become more productive. And I think that people have utilized AI as a resource, as a return on investment. People who have learned how to use AI to their advantage have found ways to become more productive in their work. And that's not the only thing that they talked about, not the only contribution to this. And we can dive into those things, but just tying the two articles together, it's like, don't be fearful of being left behind. Just be fearful of staying on top of what you can use now that works.
Right. 100%. Like we're looking at Google Gemini. You could add it to, if you use Google Workspaces, it could tie into your email. It could then go through your docs. It could do a lot of cool things to help you extract information. So it's purely extracting. It has like Grammarly type things that helps you type better. So really cool set of features, but is it ready to roll out to say everyone here at DOIC? No, we're not ready for that yet. But are we like looking at it? Yeah. Sure. But we aren't like all in, like on day one it launched and like, all right, everyone has to use Gemini. We're like, oh, geez, do we really? No, we don't have to do that yet.
Yeah. Kevin just shared with us the example from Bloomberg where they invested $10 million in creating their own concept, their own version that they thought was going to revolutionize everything. And then ended up that Chat GPT-4 could do it all.
The next version.
Yeah.
They invested so much money because they're like, it's the future. But then even the default was better than what they hyper invested in, is what it turned out to. So
that's a lot of econs.
If you get too bogged down on this is the answer, then I think that's going to cause issue. And I think it's our human nature addiction to wanting certainty. Even in builder calls, they're like, okay, and it's black and white, and we're like, nope, it's gray.
Gray.
We have to be critical on thinking, like you were saying, Andrew, and we have to think about what could be coming up. What are these processes? Can we do these strategies and how to think about that with the team you have on?
It reminds me of a little bit, and then maybe go to the NAR one because that's a fun one to do. Did y'all see the announcement from Hertz? So Hertz, the car rental company, the CEO, he stepped down because he really messed up on trying to use Teslas as a big part of their fleet. They're now selling 20,000 plus Teslas.
That's where you get the Tesla from, Andrew.
I should. Well, it doesn't make like their Tesla's going down in pricing to be more competitive, and they're selling used like almost what a new one is. Yeah. So like, ooh, that was like, we got to be on the front edge of this. This is the way to go. There's no gas. This would be great for people. We could have a commercial with Tom Brady, all this stuff. I think it was Tom Brady. Sure enough, no, it didn't work. It reminded me of the smokeless fire pit thing. That didn't work either.
You have to know, the big lesson here is you have to know how to pace yourself and when it's time to innovate versus replicate.
Yeah. They could have had 5 per location. Like start there.
Yeah. There's all these, I don't know if it was a book I recently read or an article that was recently sent out, but all the people who were first in to do something, they're not the ones that got it right. It was the people who renovated, who went in there and adjusted something else that was new. Amazon, I think it was an article that was recently put out, but we'll try to find it. And if we find it, we'll put it in the show notes. But essentially, it's the people that came in after and renovated something that was innovative and new, and they found the right way to do it and how to utilize it to its best capacity, and it took off from there. So I don't know, it's just that reminder. And to kind of summarize, going back to this article, just to tie it up with a neat little ribbon, part of the other reasons why it's not just AI, part of the other reasons why that people have become more productive in their work is that competition is a good thing. And I see that we see this in the builder world, but competition is a good thing. It's the AI created a competition for them. They had to find a way to leverage it versus having it replace them. People found out that, or a job market shrinked a little bit. So there weren't as many open jobs in the market.
It's like the people who used to make clothes. I'd rather, like, people used to spend hours and hours of their day making clothes, and now you can just buy clothes. But now those people have more opportunity to do other things. So I think it's just a constant that always happens of there's something that is going to be more efficient. And now people can do ideally other things and more productive things that it was talking about, right, Beth? It just takes away your very mundane tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. This stuff, instead of spending 20 minutes, kind of going back to what Andrew was saying, instead of spending 20 minutes or an hour trying to think of a new idea, regenerate some ideas from Chat GPT or whatever, and then get yourself focused so then you can keep producing from there.
Agreed.
Yeah. Or take an article and say, what are the top 10 takeaways from this article and bullet points? Put the link. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Here we go. Should we go to the next one here? I don't know if you hear that, but usually we record at a different time. This is a time where the HOA lawn people are right outside my window. So hopefully no one hears that.
We'll see. It.
Okay.
It's great. So this one from thebuildersdaily.com, the fallout. How will the NAR deal impact new home sellers?
Here's our drum roll.
Yeah, we need like Stranger Things music. Like going on, like what is going on here? First, have y'all seen all the drama on this on social? It is so much fun to watch.
Oh, it is fun. I love the memes. I love the graphics. I love the videos being created from it.
Did you see the video that I think I sent it to you, Jackie? I don't think I sent it to you, Andrew. I'm going to have to.
Tip.
Yeah, I was dying. Like they were like, this is how you're realtor. Look at this beautiful house, blah, blah, blah. And then there's one question here for you to answer. And it's the 10%, 20%.
The other one of the, I'm sure you've seen like 3-bedroom, perfect. Like they're putting 3% in the listing bolded where they're like, we can't say it. Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
So,
or it's confusing. So how do I say this without sounding negative towards realtors? Because that's not my intent. But there are a lot of realtors that are going against 6%, 5% was never the standard. It was never the standard. That it was always negotiable. Okay, sorta. Yeah, I guess. So there's a lot of arguments that are, I don't want to say they're false because I mean they could be technically true, but not really. And that's like the lawsuit got pushed through, and there's this here because that's what the court found, right? But back to how will it affect home sellers? Did the video of Kevin get posted up anywhere in all access?
Yeah, there's that one. There's one of Kevin. I can't recall how many minutes, and then Kevin and Rob Hahn talking about it and back and forth, which super.
But the biggest change, right? I think we're all comfortable saying is, I think it's July is the date. In July, if a buyer comes to a home builder, for that buyer to be represented by a buyer's agent, there needs to be a contract and agreement in place. There is no like, well, this is my person. They come in at last minute, or like, actually, the realtor's not here. Hey, do you have a buyer's agent agreement? No, we don't. Sorry. There isn't one. Like that's which that'll be for any real estate transaction. I want to bring my mom's friend into
this deal last minute. Like that's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, which is I think that's awesome because then it kind of like takes away that awkwardness.
There's a lot of
believe you, not believe you.
None of this is official, right? It still all has to get approved and all this stuff. So nothing has changed yet, but we all anticipate that the change will get approved and this will be required. But I find the most interesting part of like perspective to look at from this standpoint is the buyer's perspective. And I said this to the coaches when we were talking about it. And I was like, what's interesting is that buyers have always hired real estate agents, a broker, or a buyer's agent rather, because they want them to negotiate on their behalf, right? They want them to do the negotiation. They have deemed them the expert who will guide them through this process and lead them into the best deal possible for the house of their dreams.
And they're free. They're free.
Well, what's interesting now is they're going to have to negotiate with their buyer or their buyer's agent ahead of time. So they now have to educate themselves on how to negotiate, how to assess who a good buyer's agent is versus another. And the buyer's agent is going to have to market themselves and prove themselves as an expert actually have to, and there's going to be probably different levels. I'm interested to see the buyer's agents out there that are like, I do X amount of deals and save my rich buyers this amount on every single deal, and I'm actually worth 5%. And like, you know, how is that going to change? How is that market going to change? And from the regular first-time home buyers, how are they going to be able to negotiate themselves out from 1%, 2%, 3%? How are they going to able to afford it?
I also think one thing to talk about is if the average time that now, you know, used to be 6 years is 12 years in a home, we're going to be dealing with these conversations for a decade. You know, there's people who our feet are on the ground. We know what's happening, but some people are just like, I'm not going to buy a house for another 10 years, like not even paying attention. Don't even know what's happening. But they remember last time they bought a house. So now they come into the market and they're like, what? It's changed. And so we're definitely going to have, I think, you know, you're going to see agents of different experience taking advantage or educating in this scenario based on what they think is best practices. But like you're saying, Beth, I think, or Andrew too, right? It's going to weed out some people. But wasn't it like a record breaking amount of real estate agents last few years? So.
And what do they pay?
My favorite are the comments under all of the parodies where they're like, if it was so easy, everyone would try it. And it's like, well, everyone has. Like literally the amount of realtors in the market, like you just said, Jackie, tripled since 2020 because they were like, oh, it looks so easy. And a lot of them have kind of been like, never mind.
And that's,
I can't get buyers.
Weren't you an agent for a small period?
I was an on-site sales agent. So I wasn't an actual, I didn't have to be a licensed realtor. So
perfect.
And I love my realtors.
I don't want to insult you. I was like, oh no.
No. I love my realtors. I think there's a lot of value in a really fantastic buyer's agent that is really tapped in, that knows their stuff, that can navigate people through the process, because buying resale is a beast.
But if you're buying a home for $500,000, what would you pay for that expert?
That's a great question.
Which, all right, two things here. Rob Hahn has a great analysis on. He thinks a big core of this issue is it's too easy to be a realtor, and there's too many of them. Mm-hmm. They happen to pay dues to NAR, and maybe that's an influence, maybe not. I do know, so I compete in bodybuilding, and they allow what's called cross division, and the whole point of it is so they get registration fees. I could be in one class, or I could be in four. 4 is 4 times more than 1, right? So there's money there. So if it make it easier to be a real estate agent, and there's an annual fee and there's licensing, that's a lot of revenue to pick up for the NAR, right? So that I think has had an influence on all this as well. And then I saw this Facebook post and I was going to send it over, but I'm like, oh, this is just, sometimes it could be like a negative feeling, like, oh, that's not positive. But as a realtor going essentially against this, saying it's crazy, it's like, no one said the standard is 5 to 6%. Okay, whatever. But he said the buyer has always paid the buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. Semantics. It's like, okay, because who is providing any funds for the transaction? The seller's not providing any cash, any financing. The seller is agent, the buyer's agent. All the money for the transaction is coming from the buyer.
The sale of the home.
So they're like, I should pretend to try to convince everybody this. So they know ahead of time, like, okay, I'll buy this home for $500,000. 15 grand of it is going to this broker. 15 is going to that broker, whatever the numbers are. Like, they're willing to bring their money to do that. Or is this person wrong? I'm really just trying to be devil's advocate here. To me, it's semantics, right? The seller is paying it because they're losing that money.
Yeah.
If the buyer's agent wasn't there. But the point was, people were tearing this person apart in the comments, but it's an interesting perspective. I've never seen it written that way. The only money bringing money to the transaction is the buyer, but it's coming from mostly financed. But then cash deals, I'm sure there's a little bit more scrutiny, especially if it's big money, big wealth. At least the people I know that have a lot of different commas in their accounts than I do, multiple commas. Like, they think a little bit differently, and so they're looking at that. I'm going to pay $100,000 to help me buy this home. No, get out of here. But if you're uneducated or underexperienced, not uneducated, that's not the right word. If you're not as educated in realtor contracts and just knowing what could be an option, what is negotiable, what's not negotiable, because the commissions don't feel like they're negotiable whatsoever. Like, hey, if we don't, the seller talking to the seller's agent talking to the seller, hey, if we don't offer any buyer's agent commission, they're not going to show you a home. Those conversations happen all the time. And any realtor that says they don't, don't work with that person. They're like,
And
that's
how
not
many
truthful.
home builders, like when it's a cash deal, are like, here, since it's a cash deal, we don't have to pay XYZ. You know, we'll give you XYZ in place of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What'll be really interesting is the role of seller concessions once this pulls through. Or if they say a home builder is like, hey, we offer a 2% seller concession, and they're telling us to the buyer, 2% matter what. So that will cover your buyer's agent fee. So you bring in, if you choose to work with a buyer's agent, great. We offer a 2% seller's concession. That's cash back to you. You can use that to pay your buyer's agent, or you could use that for yourself. Like, you don't, if you're not represented, that goes to you. It is your money. Yeah. It is for you.
I can
it's from
see
us to you.
builders who have clear information regarding that and how they're going to help you and hold hands with you and guide you through the process are going to win hands down.
Oh, for sure.
Versus you're right, like the car shop, like the confusing, like, just like make this easier. So
yeah, 600K times what? 2%? Is that 12,000? Yeah, 12,000. That's real money. Like, do you want to give your friend 12,000 that you just wanted to get the hookup on the commission, or do you want 12,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take 12,000. That sounds good.
At the same time, I'll do a quick story. I think I put an offer on 4 homes, and I decided to use not my agents and my home builder because I didn't want to show preferential treatment. And then when it came to this house, I said, I have lost 4 homes with this discount dirtbag. He's gone. He can't find me. I got one of my agents who I worked with. I was like, you do not tell anyone we work together. I do not want them to know I used you. I don't want to show preferential treatment, but I'm tired of losing out on houses. Here's your money. So there are certain people where now I know the benefit. I will work with preferential, because you're right, Beth. Like, they will fight for you if they know that they are higher up in getting money too from, and you appreciate them more as well. You see the work that they're doing.
A good buyer's agent that not only provides great negotiation from an investment standpoint and whatever, right, will guide you through the process and has good connections.
Yeah.
Will get you so far. Like my agent in Maryland, he's one of my really good friends. I've known him for years, but he's so tapped into that particular market that we were looking for that there's no one else I would even look at, because guess what, during 2021 when we were buying and it was all about pre-market deals, we lost a house due to a pre-market deal because the agent knew the buyer, like it was the friend of a friend situation. It came down to, hey, how much access do you have to knowing what houses are hitting the market? What's going to come up? And like a friend of mine who was then looking in the same market, and we're like, oh, we're just going to use our friend that we know of that works in this market. It's like, no, dude, if you want to buy in this market, you need to get, you got to get the agent that is like tapped in, because it's so hard. It's so hard. And he's so good at keeping relationships. Like, that's important. It's really important.
That person's got the riz for sure. How do we feel about if I were to have a buyer's agent buying my car? Would that feel weird? And I paid that person and they got 2-3% of the deal.
No.
Pain in the ass buying a car. Did I say the A word? Beep. Mark it down.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be your buyer's agent. I love negotiating with car dealerships.
It's miserable. I don't mind negotiating.
I was gonna say, that's the
time
funny
is annoying.
Thing. Some people love the human element of arguing and knowing they got the best deal. And some people are like, swipe my credit card. Just swipe my credit card. Like you're saying for Tesla, maybe, Andrew. Like, there's not really negotiation, is there?
No, I like the simplicity of that. There's no negotiation. You could, no negotiation. Talking to a few people, if you like start it in person, they could sometimes hook you up with like less than $1,000 worth of stuff. Yeah, you could get swag. You could maybe get a free wall charger sometimes. Cool. Depends on what it is. But that's all sometimes. Is it worth the effort? To me, not. I just want to click the button and be like, oh, cool. I'm going to go pick it up tomorrow at 4. Sounds great. Let's go. Yeah. But yeah, using a buyer's agent to buy a car is what people like. That's really weird. Oh. It's not as complicated as a house. It's much less dollars. There's a zero missing most of the time. But
I love
imagine if that was normal practice to go to a dealership and you're like, hey, this is my buyer's agent. Okay, cool. And they know, hey, they sold 60 of those Jeep Wagoneers last month, and here's what they went for, and here's the options that you want to get, et cetera. And the resale, like they knew it. It is valuable. So I'm saying this in defense of of buyer's agent. But if they don't know that transaction data, if they only sell 1 or 2 cars per year as a car buyer agent, like not valuable. So the great realtors, pay them all day long as a buyer's agent, like all day long. Finding those is tough when it's encouraged that real estate is easy to get into, et cetera, and there's the 1 to 4 transactions per year because of a friend situation. Like, and those people need to go.
Watching the military market is my favorite because like, just for those that don't know, the way that when people are moving, they go into a Facebook group and it's a market group. So like, for example, we live outside of Fort Eisenhower. So there would be a Fort Eisenhower spouse page or Fort Eisenhower group page, right? And so they all go into it and they're like, hey, we're PCSing, AKA moving to this location around this time frame. We're looking for a house, blah, blah. The amount of agents that pounce immediately into that and are like, I would love to help you, blah, 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 blah. It's insane. So it got to the point where I was like, all these rules were set up and it was like, I'm not looking for an agent. And you would get kicked out if you like, it's so much fun. It's like Jerry Springer sometimes.
We're like,
I believe it.
No one's allowed to sell. Like this is a safe zone. Like let's keep there.
I agree. Yeah, there's a few. Okay. Well, let's move on to some current favorites and hates. Sure. Hate is a strong word, but that's okay.
Favorites, I got something weird for my house and I love it. It is privacy film that you can't see into during the day. And for example, it is getting more beautiful. Anyone on camera can see I have this window by my office. And I just want to open the window some days, but I'll have the window open and then I'll just look over and someone just locks eyes with me. And it's very weird.
That's creepy.
So I want to enjoy privacy at my own discretion. And like, I want to see out and not them in. So I would say my favorite is privacy film for my windows from Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. This podcast sponsored by Amazon Privacy Film.
Amazon. We got everything from A to Z, and we put the smile on the box. That sounds like something I would say. That is something to say, isn't it? My favorite is, so we got, none of this is environmental. That sounds terrible. So we got solar on the house. I'm getting an electric car, blah, blah, blah. But the solar, so it got hooked up last week, and I have a little nerdy little app on my phone. It says how much power we generated, how much we used, and you're looking for like a big difference between the two, right? So where I'm at, essentially the power is sold to the power company, Duke. They give us a credit on the bill. So the goal is to build up that credit as much as you can, especially right now. March in Florida is beautiful. It's sunny. And we're like 78 degrees right now. Like go to the beach. It's perfection. The other day we were like 50 during the day. So it's not always perfect, but it was still super sunny. So we're producing like 100 whatever kilowatts of power per day, using like 40 to 50, which will help like the following months. And then in the summer, we'll produce less than what we use, but we'll have this huge credit on our account because we generated the power. So watching like I forecasted all this in Excel to be like, hey, this is a big investment to add into the house. It was quite a bit. Could have bought a Yukon for what it cost, and seeing like, oh, the math is working. The goal is just to pay for the system at a flat rate per month versus this fluctuating rate, and then have it less per year. Because I'm spending that money anyways, as far as it's going to Duke. I'm buying Duke power. Or I could spend that money and have it pay for the system, and I'm spending the same money, but then in 8-9 years, there's no money going to Duke. It's only power. So yeah, it's exciting. It's cool. Makes me happy.
That's so
fun. Favorite. A lot of favorites. What about you,
Beth?
My favorite is that we are gearing up for Masters Week here in the greater Augusta
this is a money
area.
Talk, I think.
What?
This is a money talk, I think, too. Favorites.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's my favorite and also least favorite because the prep that goes into it, like I feel so behind. But it's Masters Week is here soon. And just for those of you that don't know, because I did not know, all of the local residents or a lot of the local residents rent out their homes because there's not an abundance of there is Airbnbs, but there's also not a lot of hotels in the area. So, and to prevent more hotels and to keep more hotels from coming in, the local area rents out their homes during the week and we all flee the area. And I'm really excited for it. We rented our house for Masters,
Nice.
Got a nice amount of money for it.
I'm sure.
And it helped me because I got to finish decorating my house, and my husband can't say no.
That's right.
So we went to Target. We went all these places. We got to go to Home Goods, and I'm just like buying mirrors and buying new pillows. And my husband hates decorative pillows, but I'm like, hey, we need this for masters. Like, it's going to make our house look nicer. So they're expecting it. So I got to finish decorating some areas of our house.
When you built your home, did they say, hey, just so you know, like, this is a good bit of money you could rent your house for during masters?
Yep.
Everyone does it. Your house is perfect location, perfect size. You might want to consider making things accommodate that once a year. Like, did they tell you that?
No, it didn't go into, like, we knew our house, like the lot and the back deck and everything is like a good,
super sick.
Yeah. And we have a good amount of bedrooms, nothing outstanding, like nothing spectacular there. But we knew, like, going into the purchase of our house, we were contemplating between two neighborhoods. This particular neighborhood gets rented out by Mercedes-Benz. So to take over our whole neighborhood, and they put like their latest fancy model in the front of our neighborhood on display, and they take over our clubhouse, all this stuff. And they do a lot of rentals. So we could either rent through Mercedes-Benz or we could rent out through other places. So the incentive for this neighborhood is, like, we knew, one, it rents for more, it rents for higher. Sweet. And there's always a guaranteed way that we could rent our house, essentially.
With the big sponsor.
Yeah.
Taking over.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, well, we can pay more to live in this neighborhood, but if we rent out our house every year, we could also pay our mortgage for a few months.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. No big deal.
That's pretty cool.
Where are you staying again?
We haven't decided yet. So we're deciding. So, okay. So, like, here's our poll. You guys let us know. Should we go to the mountains in Georgia, or should we go to, like, the beach?
When is the Masters? I have no idea.
Is in early April.
Ooh. I go to the beach in April.
Yeah. So, like, the kids loved the beach when we were just in Florida. Cullen was obsessed with it.
I feel like you can't beat our beaches for kid safety.
It was great.
That's not probably thinking, like, there's riptides, but not like East Coast. There's none of that stuff where, like,
clean
you go to
water.
Edisto or Hilton Head, you're like, there's my little child being, like, smashed into the ground. Bulk smashed with a wave, versus over here we're flat as a lake. And April is out of spring break season for us, so you should go to Reddington Beach, and I'll annoy you and say, hey, you want to get coffee?
Send the kids over too.
The kids. Yeah, you're going to Beth's place. I don't know. There's something, like, I don't know. Let's see.
To be determined where we're going. So mountains also seem nice too. Really scenic. We can hop down to the city for a day. Things like that.
I think beach is, like, less demanding of your parenting time too. Like, go wild. So
I don't know.
Oh, drowning.
Depends on little one, right? Little one. Ours are at the age now where they swim, strong swimmers, all that stuff. But sunscreen is our get over here.
It's like a whole thing. That's the whole thing with beach. It's like a whole.
That's true. But mountains is like, we're driving half an hour to get to anything, or 20 minutes or 40. Like, there's always driving. But you have the Tesla. We probably can't take the Tesla. You need to charge it.
Well, we have to take both cars.
Because they need a garage.
Wherever we go, and we got to take the dogs too, because we rented out later.
Mountains it is.
Yeah. Next year we can plan ahead and do, like, Disney or, like, a cruise, or go somewhere fun. Which is, a lot of people are going on cruises this year. Everyone I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, we're going on a cruise.
It's very economical.
Yeah.
Or imagine this, and this is now cruise hour.
Yeah.
Your kids don't have to eat, or they eat, and you're like, oh geez, we spent $80, $100 in dinner. You're like, I don't care. You already paid for it up front, sort of.
Yeah, Disney watches your kids for you. That's great.
Yeah, Disney cruises are 20 out of 10. They're also 20 out of 10 pricing compared to the other ones, but it is Disney. All right, I'm done talking. I'll just keep going. Okay. Well, that's it for this week. This is where Olivia's going to put the standard outro. I hope.
Da-da-da.
So bye.
Bye.
Yeah.